Welcome to the Disrupt Your Career podcast, brought to you by Claire Harbour
and Antoine Tirard. We're passionate about helping everyone find fulfillment in their work life.
We believe that big, messy, uncharted career changes are inevitable, and it's up to you to decide.
Will you take control and disrupt, or allow yourself to be disrupted?
We wrote the book about it, and now we share here our conversations with other thinkers in this crucial area.
Settle down and get ready to listen to this dose of wisdom.
Welcome to the Disrupt Your Career podcast. I'm super happy this time, in this early part of the year, to be welcoming Stéphanie Daudier. She's here to talk about all kinds of aspects of her work across the world. And I just want to welcome you, Stéphanie. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for your invitation, Claire. I'm very happy to be here with you.
Wonderful. Let's start, as we always do, with your career journey. You've been through several pivots and challenges in your career, working for over a decade in marketing and general management in both France and Japan. And you've juggled the elements of a portfolio career, as well as becoming a founder and entrepreneur. You even got a class you teach every year at the New School of Parsons in Paris. Please share with us how this career has unfolded. Tell us about how much it was design and how much it was serendipity, and what your key moments of pride have been.
To give it a start, I would say that when I was younger, I never imagined to have such a career. Nothing was set to stone. It unfolded. I think that it began when I was a kid. I was raised by my parents with very strong values, work, that is very important and that deserves respect. Education, which is a very, very strong value in my family, from the grandparents to the young kids. And everyone is equal and should have a fair chance. And this I did not realize in the beginning, but it became very important in my life. And that's why today most probably I'm working in diversity and inclusion. In our family, just to give a hint, in our family, boys and girls, we were 4, 2 boys, 2 girls. We all had exactly same education, same duties, same leisures. There was no distinction. You are a girl or a boy. Everyone's treated the same way. And it was quite innovative because it was in the 60s and 70s. And so my parents were quite innovative on this topic. And in fact, I did not realize anything about that before feeling discrimination myself when I was a little bit older, at work. So my career was not fully planned. Given this education, I had the opportunity to study mathematics. It was more frequent for women at that time than today. I think that we were more girls studying mathematics, and I started my career in a scientific field, in marketing research. And I didn't know, I thought it would be my life. And 40 years later, it was not. After 8 years, I let it go and changed field and chose and was driven by the company where I worked. They asked me they suggested that I would turn to marketing. And this was quite important. That was a big turning point. I learned marketing on the field, which was a little bit challenging because all my colleagues were coming from high-level university and high schools. And I was, just a mathematician. So I was learning on the spot. And then after a moment, I wanted to do more and to do something different. So I decided to refuse any further marketing position, which was quite daring, in fact. And I'm still very proud of that. I just said, guys, if you want me to take another marketing position, it will not be in this company. I will not do it. In fact, they listened to me. That was very daring as well from the company okay, let's fulfill the wish, at least give it a try. So we designed a kind of career path so that I would, 2 years later, I had my first assignment as a GM, small business, international business. And after a few years, I raised my hand again and I said, I want to work with Asia. On my previous position, I was dedicated to Europe. So I wanted to go a little bit further. I went to see the head of Asia and I told him, I want to work with you. I want to be in your team. What can we do? And 2 months later, I was there.
taking initiative again and again.
This was so extraordinary for me. In fact, unbelievable. So I was the head of the GM because I wanted to have my GM title, you know. I was a GM for 3 brands in Asia for 14 countries, Asia and Pacific. And I started to live a life of flights and hotels, but that was great. I could manage with my family because I have as well 3 kids. I could manage with my family. And that was a great experience. First 4 years based in France, but traveling all the time. And then again, I went to see the same guy and said, you know, I want to go and live in Asia. Wow. The answer was so surprising for me because he told me, okay, very good. Which country do you want? China or Japan?
Nice.
And I said, I want China. He told me, China will be difficult, but I have a position in Japan. We are about to sign with someone else tomorrow. So if you want a job, tell me tomorrow morning. So I had 12 hours to see with my family, to discuss, to think, and to say, let's go. 4 years in Japan as the head of one brand, a luxury brand on the local business, working with a team of 700 Japanese people. So it was interesting because I was 48, something like that. So it was quite late to become an expat for the first time. And my 2 elder children were at university already. So I took my youngest daughter and she came to live with me there. And that was a great experience. And then one day my contract was over and it was time to come back. And that's where everything changed again. And that was not planned. When I arrived back in Paris, the job was not as attractive enough for me, or I was a little bit, as well tired of pressure and tired of running after turnover and, everything that is included in business. So we decided to split. After 25 years of mutual loyalty, I would say, we agreed that I would quit the company. And I had no plan. Zero. My network in Europe was quite small and not so lively. At first, I wanted to have the same job in another company. And my mom told me, Stephanie, do you really want to have the same job, same pressure, same stress? Or is there any other way? At first, I told her, Mom, you don't know anything about that, But it made, its small path. And I decided to start looking for another path, another road.
L'Oréal is well renowned for having great management, great leadership. Could you reflect for just a moment on the lessons that you learned from some of those leaders that you worked with?
So first of all, you need to raise your hand. You need to decide as well, you cannot rely, and especially sometimes women, I don't want to generalize too much, but still, we tend to think that we are visible, that our good work is visible, and that promotion will come.
Yes.
It's more secure if you raise your hand. I would say raise your hand is something that is welcome at L'Oréal, and ambition as well is praised. It's not about ambition that will be detrimental to others, but it's more ambition for the brands, for the business, for the careers, for the development.
Yes.
And this is welcome. The second is really to adjust and adapt to what happens immediately. To seize the opportunities, to adjust the way you think, to adjust your strategy, to be really very agile. Take risks. One of the wonderful specificity of L'Oréal is to provide a safe space to take risks. Something that I discovered on the way, which is build trust with people.
Which comes from the safe place culture.
Yes, absolutely. A safe place does not mean that it's always easy and everyone says yes all the time. It's highly demanding. But this idea of having the chance to try something new and different is really helping growing. Yeah, build trust is as well the fact that you need to build your own network inside the company and people appoint you if they know you. If they are comfortable with the personality you have, you need to make yourself visible, to expose yourself. And this I didn't know in the beginning. It was not in my culture. I came from a very small company. I learned on the spot as well.
Beautiful. So you have this decades-long experience inside a company with a very strong corporate culture. And then you step out. And A, you haven't got a plan. And B, you eventually transitioned to something. But talk us through the transition that you made.
I didn't plan so much. I had a strong side project that I started 20 years before, which was to be a mentor. And for now 30 years, I've been a mentor. It's something that I've been doing for quite a long time. And I developed over the years. I learned as well to be better and better. And while I was not yet sure that it would become my main job, I decided, and I had decided before already, to study coaching, executive coaching. So I started to study executive coaching in the US first, in California, and then I was looking for a new opportunity. I decided as well to go to INSEAD and to study at INSEAD, and I chose the Master in Consulting and Coaching for Change.
Sure.
And that were two different ways to explore how I could help people, accompany people, contribute, give back as well, all I had learned. My first reflex was I went back to university.
Back to the values of your child.
Yeah, exactly. University, I chose as well to study in an English-speaking environment, because coming from, feeling quite comfortable in Europe and in Asia, I wanted as well to have another perspective. So that was first thing. The second thing is that I capitalized as well on mentorship, because I accelerated. It helped me to recreate my network in France. So I started to look for associations, NGOs, alumni that will give me a kind of floor to explore and go further, etc., and build my network. And step by step, it became an evidence that I would be an executive coach. What I want to add as well is that I did not have a vision of being a freelancer. I had the vision of creating a company. So from the beginning, from day one, I started the company, but I was working alone. And then 4 years later, I started to look for bigger projects and to invite other coaches to join me and to support the project. So it's changed a little bit, and now the company is more dedicated to diversity, inclusion, and psychological safety at work.
Let's talk about a particular aspect of your business and how you're developing yourself. You've developed rather an online and public presence, as well as working with your clients in their individual or corporate environments. You've got a developing and emerging career as a speaker and as a video content producer. You've got a little channel about diversity and leadership on your website, as well as a presence on other platforms. And you've even done a TEDx speech recently. Yeah. So what was your motivation to enter the age of TikTok and to make this shift and explore new media and new platforms?
The main difference between being in a corporate world and being an entrepreneur is that you need to find your clients, what kind of work you want to do, to design your offer, etc., and to make it visible. So either you have a very big network, or you are a fan of cold email, which is not my style, or you decide to go on a public space and talk about who you are, what you want to do, the service you are bringing to your clients, etc. So that was my first objective, I would say. And in fact, what I discovered doing so, and especially I'm quite present on LinkedIn, and what I discovered is that the more I write and I publish what I think, the more interaction I have on one hand, but the better my thinking is as well. I have to structure, I have to take position, to take a stand. You have to be sharp, to express yourself with simplicity, etc. So it helped me as well, precise step by step the positioning of the company, my own vision, my own point of view. It's a way as well to exchange with a lot of people who agree, don't agree, to understand the weak signs, to identify the expectations, etc. So I found it much richer than I expected. I had this opportunity to work with 2 coaches to write my speech. It's a 6 months work for 14 minutes.
Exactly.
Crazy. So 6 months writing, and then working with 2 coaches as well for the present
Delivery. Yeah.
to be able to speak, as well as to go on the stage and, to dare going on the stage. So it was really fun. And, TEDx, the rule is very simple. You have no notes, no prompter. So that was really interesting. And I did not learn anything by heart since I was 11 or 12.
Oh, I know the feeling.
Oh, that was something. That was really something. So I delivered my speech, and then it was a lot of research to create the content. And I realized that in fact I was 60. I didn't have 5 years before my retirement, but I have 40 years in front of me, coming in front of me. Maybe or not, but most probably yes. So it opened a new door for me, a new window. Like, what am I going to do in these 40 years to come? So that's how my project Rebellion started, because I decided that I wanted to rebel against stereotypes towards senior people at work, especially. So I started to work on that, and I launched my program to help senior at work that is called Rebellion.
Listen, every listener should be noting this and getting in touch with you if they have anything at all to be thinking about with regard to how they include and integrate people in later years in their careers and so on. Beautiful. So we fully expect to be having you back in 20 years' time or so to talk about how you're doing on the project, You Rebel You. You mentioned simplicity. Tell me about your relationship with simplicity. It's stated as one of your corporate values, and it certainly resonates with me. It's definitely one of my main values. So what does simplicity mean for you? And how might any of us bring it into the management of our own careers?
That's one of the rules of my company. I want to express myself with simple words and to be understood. I think it's the most important thing, to be understood. And it's not the receiver to understand everything, but it's us to speak with clarity, with simple words, and to express difficult or complexity with simple reasoning and simple structure. As well as, I would say, to be simple. But I like this idea of, still keeping it simple, bringing a lot of content in a simple manner, managing as well the levels of discussions. And so maybe it's a little bit complex for the explanation.
It's a complex explanation of simplicity. Absolutely perfect. So wonderful. What would you like to see organizations doing better when it comes to talent and career management? And do you have any great examples of companies that are doing particularly well in this respect?
I have two obsessions. One obsession is men and women equality at work, with the idea that it's beneficial for everyone, including men. This is really something that I believe is non-negotiable. So I've been working with a few companies on that, and with tenacity, because it's long. It's a long commitment. But I think that some big companies are doing really well to do better and better, especially at least at pay level, which is already a good point.
It's a start.
Promotions, step by step as well, is becoming better. So I don't want to speak too much about L'Oréal, but I was very interested to see that, for instance, when I was an expat more than 10 years ago, very few women only were sent in expatriation by the company. Today, it's 50-50. This is a big sign as well. Some companies are doing good, but there's a lot of work to do, especially at the top of the ladder. And there's something to do as well to be more conscious about it. So that's one of my obsessions. And the second one is really my fight today, is how do we provide an interesting and fulfilling environment for senior workers?
Yes.
France is not a good student, if I can say that, un bon élève, because in France, the level of the employment rate of seniors is not very good compared to other European countries. It's really important that we, as a society, understand that and take the issue, because anyway, very soon, a big percentage of the workforce will be over 50. If you want to,
it needs to be dealt with.
To build the company, you need to have senior people. So you need to accept them as they are and train them and push them to learn and help them and provide a space for this development. And the way I've taken the topic on my side, Rebellion, is less with companies. I decided, it was a big reflection for me. At first, I wanted to address the systemic topic. So working with companies to help them, etc. But honestly, it was very slow, very difficult. It's not a priority today. And if we compare, men and women equality is more of a priority than senior workers. I decided to take it from the opposite side and to help senior employees boost their career. That's my story with Rebellion. So I'm working directly with senior workers to help them understand how to boost their career, build their B plan. And this is quite interesting for companies now. People are starting to call me and ask, what do you achieve? How do you do it, etc. So it's a start.
Beautiful. So you're creating more and more rebels who are willing to fight for the cause of older workers, bringing amazing value. Fantastic. Let's go right back to your 17 or 18-year-old self. If you could talk to her from your position now, what would you want to be telling her?
I would say, be yourself, dare to be yourself, do not comply. So that would be my first advice. And my second advice would be, it would not be an advice, but something more reassuring, that even if you are an introvert, you can do a career. I'm quite of an introvert. It's not visible, I know, but it's difficult for me to behave in a group, for instance. I'm much more comfortable talking to you one-to-one like this, even if we have a lot of people listening to
Absolutely. But yes.
But it's more comfortable for me, and it's difficult for me to be in big groups, etc. And I learned how to do it, but I thought it would be difficult. It was not that. I saw it bigger of a problem than it was really.
And it was. It's a really important reminder.
But I think that the corporate world is more designed for extroverts.
It still is. And of course, all those questions that you raise about visibility and that kind of thing are tied to that very deeply. But you're living proof that you don't have to be a massive extrovert to be successful. So thank you for that. Lovely insight. What are your most exciting projects for 2025?
Only one project, a scale rebellion. That's the only point I want to make.
We will look forward to hearing news of more and more rebels invading the workforce. Stéphanie, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on here with me. Thank you for all the insight and the good humor and the important reflections. It's been a great pleasure having you.
Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you for your question. It made me reflect as well, you know.
Good. Thank you.
So thank you all.
We hope you enjoyed hearing from this month's guest as much as we did.
Do go and check out our work on disrupt-your-career.com and come back soon. Thank you.